Welcome, fellow Nightfarers, and I hope you all fared well against the new Everdark Balancers. That is a fun boss fight. And even more rewarding than defeating the boss is getting the new relic, the Will of Balance. After defeating the Everdark Balancers, you get the Will of Balance relic, which is almost just a copy and paste of the Will of the Balancers. Let's get real, they changed one ability. So the first ability reads Improved Melee Attack Power, which is a 5% buff to all of our melee attack power. The second ability is Improved Skill Attack Power, which is a 15% buff to all weapon skills. What's awesome is those two stack together, making it a 20% buff for all weapon skills altogether. Then, when we put it with the other Will of the Balancers, we get 145% weapon skill damage altogether. Another way to push that even further is to put on the Glass Necklace. Successive attacks boost attack power by 35% once we get to the final tier of 3. This puts us at 195% attack power altogether, which is awesome. When we consider some of the best weapon arts for the Executor, we have Corpse Piler, which goes on Rivers of Blood, and Waterfowl Dance. These are all multi-hit attacks, so before the attacks even finish, you should be all the way up to your cap. Meaning if you get a chain 2 attacks, you are fully capped at the second attack. And there's even some fun dex-based weapons that get multiple hits, especially when you're in mobs. And it's nothing as broken as, say, prelates charges or just slamming heavy attacks down with the iron balls, but it still gets you up there quick and can keep you there for a good minute. Even though we're focused on successive attacks because of the Glass Necklace, you can deal some awesome damage with any weapon art after we pump them up a little bit. And even when the weapon arts are down, because they're a dex-based character with such a high dexterity to begin with, something as powerful as Halo Sight does 520 damage at level 15 just from those two relics that we got from the Balancers. Going back to another cool thing about the katanas, when we look at consecutive hits, is their charge attack. Is a multi-hit attack. That got us up to full attack. Just for a little bit, but it got us there. Meaning if you keep chaining your charge attacks, or let's say if you have River of Blood, land a charge attack, then throw down Corpse Piler right away, it hit at max damage. That's great, no wasted FP there. In addition to your charge attacks, your heavy run attacks also deal 2 hits. You'll go in with a kick, and then an attack. One of them will put you up to the first tier. Chain 2 of them will put you up to the second tier. So it's not the best multi-attack, but it's still good. Okay, so the damage you get from the Glass Necklace is awesome. However, because of the limited FP we have, without reduced FP consumption or gaining FP on consecutive hits, if you're chaining things like Waterfowl Dance or Corpse Piler, you're not going to get a lot of cast out of them. As you can see here, I don't even actually get 4 full casts from Waterfowl Dance. I'm able to get 1.5 basically. But still decent damage for finishing that 4th one off. That's definitely enough to nuke any boss if you're soloing them. And when it comes to Corpse Piler, you only actually get 3 full hits out of this thing. And I am kind of suspicious that may be because we've got passive FP regeneration. So unless you're level 13 or 14 with the passive HP regeneration, you're probably not going to finish 3 full combos with this setup. And yes, I've mentioned before, it's pretty easy to get FP regeneration when dealing damage, or FP regeneration from successive attacks. If we sacrifice that 35% damage to give ourselves 25% FP at max level, and it really will be more than that through earlier stages, because increased max FP is 25 flat. So right here we're at 80. We're almost at our max FP at starting level. And now we're at 125. And when we use Dark Knight of the Wise, the amount of weapon arts we get to cast increases substantially for these multi-hit weapon arts. Right now I've already cast 2 of them and I'm at half my FP. I'm actually able to get a little bit more than 4 of them out. Just barely got that 5th one out. And we've also got to understand, most of the time we're fighting a boss, we're not able to just stand there and start spamming our weapon arts on them. They move, they hit us, we have to dodge and roll. If you're the Executor, you'll want to pay attention to the enemy moves and know when you're supposed to pull out your pocket parry. And then you can go back to attacking. But the fact that Corpse Piler alone went from 3 cast to 5 full cast, just from having Dark Knight of the Wise, actually gives us more overall damage increase than the Glass Necklace. And we go from just under a full 4 to a little bit over 7 when we're using this combination with the Waterfowl Dance, just because there's so many hits involved in it. So in the long run of things, it is definitely worth it to wear Dark Knight of the Wise. Though I personally do prefer the Glass Relic, I am a little damage whore. Before I go over what's helpful to do in Deep at Night, I want to go over the occasionally nullify attacks while damage negation is lowered, because this is actually more broken than you would think at first. There's a lot of things that will reduce our damage negation. The 2 easiest to deal with are reduced damage negation for flask usages, which is the easiest by far to handle, and reduced damage negation after evading, which is only 15% increased damage when you're recovering from the evasion itself, so it's a very small window to have. So having something like reduced damage negation after invading isn't as much of a risk as it would have been before if you're using something like the Will of Balance. In addition to anything on your relics that could negate your damage reduction, there are also a few spells like Lightning Fortification and Howl of Chivalry. Then there is also the Hammer, the All-Knowing Scepter, which can apply a debuff to anyone in the range of its attack art, including you, that will lower magic damage negation and holy damage negation. And on top of that, one of the coolest mechanics of the game is that anytime you stand inside water, your lightning damage is negated. That means the relic can trigger there as well. Also, the Scorpion Charms only give you 3% less physical damage negation, so that's an amazing thing to actually have. And speaking of talismans, there's also a talisman that increases your dodging iframes while reducing your damage negation by 10%. That is great for this. And if you're playing Deep of Night, it's not that uncommon to run into gear where the downside of the gear is impaired physical damage negation or infinity damage negation. So keep an eye out for that when you're using this relic. This is how I have one of them set up for Deep of Night. I just give him some rally potential and a little bit more health. I prefer to play on Deep of Night level depth 2 or depth 3, to be honest. Anytime I make it to 4, I usually go back down to 3. Once you're in depth 4 or depth 5, I feel like builds start becoming too bottlenecked, and it's just not as fun, you know? I'd rather play on the medium, air quote, hardcore difficulty than the extreme hardcore difficulty if it means I get to have more fun with the builds I'm making. And also, this is another great way to do it. I just have double stack reduced FP consumption. This really goes miles when you're doing it. I do that so I can wear the Glass Necklace and not feel as bad about not having the extra FP or the FP recovery. And of course, for Executors, nothing is wrong with just increasing affinity attack power or physical attack power. I'd say regardless of whichever way you want to run this build, the Executor definitely has an edge over other Nightfarers, being they have the option to have the Glass Necklace or the Dark Knight of the Wise when they're making their skill-based builds. Thank you for tuning into this video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more content, especially if you like Souls-like games and roguelike games. I have a lot of builds coming up soon. I've just been stacking them on top of each other, and I just don't know how to handle it. I almost shoved 3 different builds in this video, but then I backed off and I was like, we're going to make this a short one, Wes. I have great quality of life recommendations coming up for Wilder and Duchess when it comes to using the Balancer Relics. An awesome new way to use Revenant Madness builds and get damage worthy of Deep at Night mode on normal gameplay. And some fun Duchess and Undertaker builds, and some meme builds that do actually have pretty good potential if used by a player with high enough skill. Some of these ones, not myself, that's for sure. So once again, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more awesome content.